Hey everyone and welcome back to my channel. Hi if you're new here, my name is Callum, nice to meet you. This feels so weird to be doing on YouTube, but if you don't already follow me over on Instagram and TikTok, you may not know that I am currently working my way through my 31 Days of Halloween series over there, where I create 31 different looks every single day of the month of October. It's a lot. It's a lot. Okay. And a question that I get asked so much in all my looks is how I block out my eyebrows, because you can see I actually have quite thick, coarse brows, and somehow I completely get them to disappear. So I wanted to do more of a sit down video and like a talky tutorial, something that might take a little bit longer than it would on Instagram or TikTok, and explain to you guys exactly how I do it. I feel like it's such a process, and it definitely did take me a good few times to master over the last few years of trying, because if I can find it, it'll be on screen now, but if not, the first time I ever blocked out my eyebrows was, even with all the double smooth on Facetune in the world. Billy wants to show you his ghost. Ooh. Hi everyone. Did you not use a cleaner tea towel? I basically just wanted to do more of a sit down video and talk you guys through it, because it's just a bit of a longer process than I can really cut down on TikTok or Instagram. So I've just got a cotton pad, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with some of my Tatcha Texture Tonic. I just always use it. I actually don't know why. You could probably just go straight in with the second thing, but I do like to go over my brows with this first. I feel like this gives them a really good clean, and it's not an oily kind of toner. You want to make sure you literally have zero oils in your eyebrows, because it's just going to completely disturb the glow, and then when you put products over them at the end, you'll find that you have like loads of little dots. If you touch them and try and touch them up, the brow cover's coming off altogether. So next I'm going to take some micellar water. I just use a Bioderma one. I've used it for the longest. And I'm just going to give the brows a good scrub. I'm hard on them, okay? Like, really scrub the brow. And as you can see, they're all ruffled up, so there will be no oil remaining in them eyebrows. Then, last but not least, I'm just going to take a baby wipe for good luck and just take one last scrub of the brow. I'm just going to fan them so they're dry. I want a dry base to start with. I don't want to be putting product over a wet brow, or again, same thing applies, you're just going to end up disturbing the product underneath. So just make sure that they're completely dry before you start. My go-to product for covering my brows, you're never going to convince me that anything is better. It's not. Elmer's glue stick. Now, I have tried to use Pritt Stick. Don't tell me it's the same thing. It is not. It is point blank period not. Nothing is, especially not a Pritt Stick, is going to cover your brows the way this is going to cover your brows. I don't know what it's made with, but it works, and it works to a very good standard. Let's get into it. Doesn't smell like Pritt Stick, does though. Like, did anyone else used to smell the Pritt Stick in school? Is that weird? I don't know. I used to always. It smells so good. I'm not gonna lie, I even licked it because it tastes like strawberry. That's probably so weird. Very quickly before I go in with my glue stick, I just want to make sure that my brows are shaped nicely, because them small stubborn hairs are going to be the ones that are really going to expose you here. So I just like to clean up my brow first. I almost completely forgot to do it, and I remembered when I covered my brows yesterday, they were struggling. Oh wow, these were in desperate need. Why did no one tell me? Anyway, now our glue stick. Vigorous being the key word here, like vigorous. So you want to start at the tail of your brow straight through, and then just a very aggressive back and forth like this. Perfect. When they're all messed up like that, you want a spooler, a hard spooler. It cannot be a soft one, otherwise it's just not going to brush through your hair. Like, them disposable spoolies are not going to do anything when you have this much glue in your brow, and you're brushing up directly onto the forehead, so you want all your brows stood up straight, no like brushing across or anything like that. Otherwise, again, it's just going to really create texture, and you're going to find it super hard to cover them in the end. Once I've got them all brushed up in a straight line, making sure no hairs are laid across and they're all going in the same direction upwards, I'm just going to take my finger and press super hard over the brow. Now, although I wish this was it and we was done, we're not. Then, just with the excess glue, so it doesn't peel or anything, just take a baby wipe to all the edges of the brow. You're going to have to do this every single time that you go over the brows. It's annoying. It takes long, okay? But it's so worth it when your brows literally disappear. I'm going to take my fan, start off the drying process, give it a little bit of encouragement. I like to do it at the same time. This way I feel like I'm saving time, because while one's drying, I'm going over the other. The annoying thing is as well, guys, it's actually so hard to find a good spoolie that feels like razors going through your brows, and after about 15 times of using it to cover your brows, the spoolie is unrecoverable. Just really pressing very hard on that brow. This is where you start to look crazy. Sometimes I question why I put these things on the internet of myself just looking actually wild. Good thing about Elmer's glue stick as well is it will go on purple and you'll know when it's dry because it goes clear, and that way like you can tell when you can go on with another layer. Most of the time I go on with around 4 layers just to completely make sure every little bit filled in. You also need to fill in the gaps between the hairs with the glue stick, and that's what's going to give you that super smooth appearance. Because the way I make these brows vanish, like I make them vanish. Back to the other side. This actually is painful, guys. It gives you a bit of a headache depending on how hard you do it. I do it very hard because I really want them gone. Also be careful when you wipe in the glue from around the brow because you don't want to create any harsh edges. Just want it to be super blended into the skin. And I'm just going to do this 2 more times on each brow, and then I'll come back. You can see as I go on as well that the layers are getting thicker that I'm applying, and you can always check as well and make sure that they're really stuck down by literally just tilting your head to the side and checking in a mirror that none of your hairs are raised. I don't know if you can see, like none of the hairs are actually projecting off the face. They're all stuck down. So I've just done 1 more layer. I'm actually going to do 2 more, so 5 in total, and then I'll be back. Now that we're at the point where we've completely glued down our brows, the next thing we're going to need to do is set them in place and like set them in place. If you have dark brows like me, you're going to need to colour correct them. Because a lot of the time I'm doing a colourful base throughout Halloween, I don't actually really like to go on with an orange colour corrector, which would be what would typically hide my brows. But of course, say for example I'm going to go in with an orange colour corrector and then make my base green, as I am doing today, it's going to interfere with the colour and probably end up turning into a hot mess. Whereas if I was just doing a normal base, or this was for like drag, etc., and I was using a natural coloured foundation, an orange colour corrector wouldn't interfere with that too much. The way I get around this, and still somewhat colour correct but nothing too heavy, is I actually use a loose powder with a tint of orange in it. So the one I'm using is the Huda Beauty Easy Bake in shade Peach Pie. Now I'm going to take this on a powder puff. It has to be on a powder puff because you really need to be able to press it into the brows. Just tap it into the lid, off onto the palm of your hand so you remove any excess, and then I'm just going to really forcefully stamp this into the brow. And you can see already she's disappearing. It's at this point as well that you can normally tell if you have a bad or good brow cover, because you'll see the texture come through really heavy or really minimally. I think we've got a good one. I think we've got a good one going on, guys. And you can see the brows are leaving the chat, and just dust off any excess. Now, people may disagree, but this next step to me is equally as important as all the steps previous. It is what you're actually going to be covering your brows with. Now, I have tried, and take my word for this, it does not work, a liquid foundation. It is just way too runny. It's going to interfere and wet up the glue, mess up the product. It just doesn't work. It might work for other people, but for me personally, I have never managed to make it work. Now, the second best thing would be a concealer, a super thick concealer, if you get it off on the back of your hand first and then work it over. But again, still, I feel like it needs to be a cream product. If you're going to use a concealer, the one I do love to cover them with if I'm doing, like I said, a natural colour base, is the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer, the one in the circle pot. It's just a super thick product and it's going to glide a lot nicer over the brow cover and help them stay covered. But for the month of Halloween, when I'm doing my Halloween looks, nothing compares to my Krylon TV paint stick. This is going to say bye to these real quick, and I'm going to show you exactly how. So you can see it's super thick. It's got such like a, what's the word, apparent smell, if that even makes sense. It smells a bit like talc baby powder. Anyway, and you're going to run it always in the direction of the hairs. So I'm actually going to show you on this side. And then to blend it out, another thing I feel like that's really important, use a sponge and only a sponge, and make sure that it is a dry sponge and not a wet one. And I'm just going to press it into the brow and just dab over. Where is the brow? Where is the brow? Do you know what I mean? Just going to repeat this on the other side. This brow cover was playing no games today, guys. Then you're left with a nice, even, smooth, completely covered brow to create whatever you want on top of that. If that's no brows, thinner brows, thicker brows, different shape brows, whatever you want to do, here is your perfect starting point. I'm going to finish off the video here, guys, because I need to get back to filming my Halloween looks, but if there's anything else that I can help you with during this month or with makeup in general, as I am a makeup artist for 7 years. Nearly 8 now actually. Is it 8? Almost 8. But let me know in the comments or drop me a DM on Instagram. The Instagram is cle.makeup. I hope to see you all there and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.